This video is just going to be a quick look at some actual titration curves that look the way they're supposed to instead of my poor interpretation. This is for a silver iodide, so titrating iodide with silver. Similar idea to our chloride, but the KSP value is a little bit different. One thing you can see here is that, like I was talking about in the previous video, our PAG value is the same for all these titration curves. What's different here is we're changing the concentration of iodide that's present in each one. So a more concentrated iodide solution is here on the top, and the lowest one down here. And then we have a less concentrated curve here, and the lowest concentration is the third one here. And so what we can see in general is that, again, the equivalence point is identical for all three, but the steepness of the curve varies depending on the concentration of iodide that we have. The higher the concentration, the steeper the curve, and the easier it is actually to determine the endpoint of the titration. Because what we're looking for in the endpoint is we're looking at this very sharp change right here. You see it basically happens in a very, very small volume, that you go from pretty low concentration of silver to a fairly high concentration of silver. And that drastic change, this is how we find the endpoint, is by looking for this big jump in the change of silver concentration. It changes some properties of the solution that we can monitor with some sort of indicator. And the more concentrated we are, the sharper that endpoint will be. The less concentrated we are, if we're looking at this 0.001 molar, there's not as drastic of a change, right? And this curve is shallower. Still pretty steep, and still able to observe it, but the lower the concentration you're working with of your analyte, the more careful you'll have to be with doing the titration to make sure you don't overshoot the endpoint. So this is generally true for all titration curves, and so just wanted to show you what some actual titration curves look like instead of my poor sketches.